have you guys noticed? It's just this answering the question with another question, like a bad life insurance agent, bro. This is worse than a bad life insurance agent. Always answering a question with another question. What this does is just create frustration because we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. It's just a way of just pretending to look good in a debate. However, not answering a question. It doesn't listen. Sometimes these just give the argument and then think about it later and make a better argument. But this answering a question with another question, it's just simply a way to hold dominance in a conversation. I really heard too many stands from her. I really don't know, guys. She's like a ghost, I guess. Very subjective in her answers.
What?
You wouldn't say that they shouldn't be allowed to do that, though, would you?
Well, if it would be disenfranchising millions of other women who aren't in that situation
that's
and need an abortion, then
yes or no, please. You wouldn't say that you would not actually say that they should not be allowed to get the abortion, right?
No, I think everyone should have access to
Okay,
free
so
will.
even if it were the case that a woman, right, was holding the man basically emotionally hostage with her pregnancy and said, do what I say or I'll get an abortion, right?
Damn, bro,
you would not make any claim that she could or could not get that abortion, would you?
I would make a claim that what she's doing is immoral, but I wouldn't make a claim that because
And should
one
anything
person is
happen to a
immoral.
woman who does that?
Yeah,
What?
I mean, that's blackmailing. I think
It's
that's a
not
crime.
blackmail.
I think on a level, it's emotional blackmail. I
Yeah.
think you should be able
So
to sue someone
what
for
should happen?
emotional
Should they
blackmail.
go to jail?
I mean, maybe pay damages or a fine.
A fine?
Yeah.
How much should the fine be?
I don't know.
$200?
How much is an abortion?
They'd be the same as an abortion.
Can I ask you a question?
So-
There we go. See, moving to the goalpost right there. See, she got it. Andrew got her. Sounds like lose the argument. And she won now to move the argument. It's like a bad life insurance agent, man. I'm telling you. Like this is. It sounds so collegey. I'm okay defending certain points, but I never get to any point kind of situation. And maybe I still think that Andrew could have done much better, right? And not lose his cool like he's doing right now. However, I can understand when simple conversations are not getting anywhere. Not getting anywhere. There has to be a point when Brian has to just put the hammer down and say, can you answer the question? The same to Andrew. Andrew, can you answer the question? Reinforce both sides to make sure we get answers.
So just
Can I
to get
ask
this
you a
right, well, I
question?
want to finish this real quick.
No, can
and
I
then we
ask
can
you a
move back.
question?
Well, no, you can't until I finish the inquiry.
Okay,
but
well,
then
I'm
you
not
can,
going to answer your question.
But then,
until I
but you
ask
can
mine.
inquire back. I just want to finish this inquiry,
Go
the
for
line
it.
of inquiry. That's all. So just to make sure I got this right, you have now said that the tribal voting does
So, Wakaman, you're saying that universal morals are relative to the subject at hand. Meaning what? Meaning what? So it's based on what is moral at the moment. So that's what is gonna decide the subject itself, or what is moral today. That's what is gonna be moral from now on.
indeed pit husband against wife, has a potential to do so, right? And I've even conceded to specific examples of where it would be in a woman's interest to vote against her husband, to have a right to do something which could be used against him later, and then said, well, the punishment should be like, oh, maybe she pays a fine if something like that happens. And how are you going to convince people that that's a better system than one household voting? That's a terrible system.
Because then the leader of that household or the head of that household has control over the right and the will of every single person in that household. You're fundamentally denying people free will. They're
I'm
not
not-
allowed to. Yes, they are. Because if they're
Fundamental
both
denying of
legislated-
free will, huh?
Because if they're both legislated by the same government, and one of them has
know
no
about
say
that.
in who is elected into that government,
So?
but still, because you're still
They still have
impacted
free
by
will.
law, but you're still impacted by laws.
So what? You're being impacted by laws when you're 17. They can't vote. You have a consistency
Not at the
issue.
same extent as an 18-year-old. Not at the same
They
extent. as an
can
adult.
have it to the same extent as an 18-year-old.
in very rare exceptions, but you're
Yeah, but they
fighting on
can
an-
then,
but
so you're
fighting on an
disenfranchising
exception.
people.
But look at you, you're around the fringe. You're fighting on an exception. We're talking about the general population.
Even
right
in
now.
the general
I'm not talking
population.
about murderers. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about
So
serial
let's start
killers.
with
I'm not
this.
talking about school shooters.
I don't think it's generally speaking a good idea to let 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds to vote, to disenfranchise the votes of people who are politically informed, because they're being used as a leverage voting block for elitists. And that's what's actually happening. What's actually happening was what you just said. You know.
So you're saying that ethics apply universally? It's actually what law is based on. Now the question is, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But would you say that we had the same morality, the same universal morals than people from, let's say, from the Amazonians, certain tribes from Africa? Do we have the same universal morals? Let me know.
No, NGOs and lobbyists are lobbying Congress to get various things passed, and what they do is they try to leverage the votes from a tribalist purview in order to get the things that they want, right? And 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds are highly impressionable, right? So are 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds highly impressionable. And one way that you could eliminate this idea that they could be gone after by the parasitic NGOs who run things is by simply limiting the ability to vote to people who have such a political interest that they actually do social service for up to 5 years, so that then we can trust them with the right to vote.
Okay, I have two statements. Can you let me get through them?
Sure.
Okay.
See, this is a great opportunity of Andrew. She didn't say, do you agree with that statement? He need to close that statement and say, do you agree with the statement before moving forward? Because now she's moving the conversation further, right? And this basically is just denying Wilson's statement.
So here's number one. I agree that lobbying generally is bad. I'm not here for NGOs. I don't think anyone really is. I mean, and the whole point of why we don't like them is because we want to be represented by our legislators fairly and accurately, and we don't want it to be in the control of a private interest group.
So lobbying's bad.
Yes, generally, I think that lobbyists and NGOs are not
bad.
good.
Yeah.
But
That's
what
a
I don't
common ground.
understand is, if that's the issue, why not ban NGOs? Why not have a platform that's standing against NGOs and lobbyists? I think that'd be something great.
Yeah, so
if you
this
did
is a
that, that'd be
great-
awesome.
Yeah, so this is a great question, but here's the problem, right?
Yeah.
This is the leverage of tribalism and why you can't really do that. So on social issues, right? There are NGOs out there, for instance, who have a vested interest in abortions being legal, right? This goes out into the social ethos, and now we're battling over the social issue. We have become tribal, right? We've become tribal. Then you have NGOs who battle against it, let's say, this social issue. They also are making a ton of money off of the counter battle, let's say, also utilizing political tribalism. The whole idea here is divisive tribalism is what enables NGOs to begin with. They make a ton of money off of it, especially off of race hustling and DEI.
So then again, why not just ban NGOs and lobbyists?
Yeah,
and
you can't
allow everyone to still have a vote in a representative
I'm giving you the descriptor.
I think it's hilarious that you keep calling democracy tribalism.
I say the various cultures around the world all desire some of the same basic thing. They all share some common ground on ethics, all tribes or society. Kind of, not quite, guys, because you say in Pakistan, some of these areas, Pakistan, Bangladesh, some of this area, it's very common to just practice PDF. It's based on the culture, it's based on the ethics, it's based on the moral. This doesn't mean, I mean, at that point, what you go, can you do the same argument to those cultures? Right? You know, it's something, and you know, in the Middle East, it'll apply the same way with all the things, how we treat females and all that stuff, and how they perceive females, right? This is the problem. And also, you have to go back World War II. World War II, you know, some of these people, you know, the people with the mustache, he decided to just say that it's morally and ethically okay to go against certain people, right? You had, the thing is, in my case, it's easy. Some of you guys know it. I go right from the top, ecclesiastic, right? I'm a Christian, so that's, for me, it's easy. I can follow that book. I can follow those rules. For me, it's easy to move forward and tell people where's my morals coming from, ethics. But for some society, it's gonna be hard to just make the same distinction.
It,
That
le-
is so
it leads
funny
to
to
it
me.
leads to tribalism. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean,
full democracy leads to tribalism.
So
There's
does
no way around it.
sports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so does sports. Sure.
so should we ban sports?
No, why would you ban sports? That's a
Why
total
would you
non sequitur.
ban-
It makes no sense.
Why would you ban a huge percentage of the population from voting?
Because I would want to avoid political tribalism so that elitists can't exploit low information voters,
Yep.
which they do
There we
right
go.
now, in
That's the
order
point
to
right there.
enslave the planet.
So you're basically saying that people are too stupid to have the right to vote?
Yes.
That's dumb, dude.
Don't
There
you
we
agree
go.
with that?
There
Yeah,
you
of
go.
course I
She right now, yeah, she conceded. She said she's that dumb, dude. That's not an argument. I'm saying that she conceded. Yeah, a lot of these people don't have the, if they don't have the intelligence, right, to make that important decision, that privilege, right, to make that vote. What happened is you become a victim of propaganda, and very, very hard propaganda. At the end of the day, we develop a mediocre system, very mediocre system, where some of these laws don't even make sense. They start passing laws. The worst thing will be where we're in a position in our country where we're passing laws and none of these laws are being enforced. Because how we're dealing with the system. A lot of these voters, they just vote for stuff that don't make no sense. We have cities that are almost just failed cities. Like Seattle, I always go back to Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles. I mean, some of these, Kensington, Pennsylvania, a lot of these places are just people voting wrongly. And a lot of these are going to get to a point where it's going to be a failed city. I wouldn't be surprised if the federal government can just simply just go in and take over some of these cities, man. Because we cannot keep doing this.
I think people are stupid.
Well,
But if
then,
I-
well, then what are you arguing with me
because
about?
if I want a right to vote, then I should give them the right to vote.
Why? But listen, think about what you just said. Yeah, dude, I agree that people are too stupid to vote, but give them the right to vote anyway.
I don't think people are too stupid to vote. I
Why?
think
So they're
people
too
are
stupid to function, but
I
they're
don't think they're
smart
too
enough.
stupid
Oh,
to function.
come on! You think that people who go and generally cast a ballot are high information voters, or they barely even know what the hell they're talking
Yep.
about?
I mean, do you have a statistic on how many of them are?
Yeah,
high
you could do
information?
street polls. A lot of people have no idea what's even going on with the issues. A lot of people are just bust to poll booths.
Yo, a lot of people don't know that we have 50 states. They cannot. Bro. Man, I have different channels that I react to a lot of stuff. I just like to do that. I like to react and, just educate myself. I'm surprised at how many Americans don't even know how our system works. They don't even know what capital. Guys, I have a story. I used to work in the financial industry. And you'll be surprised when I would ask them, in what country were you born? They couldn't tell me the United States, guys. They would not say the United States. They would mention their county, their state, and they thought that state was their country. It's that crazy, guys. Our education, and I'm not talking about regular, some weird person from Louisiana. No, I'm talking about people with master's degrees, guys. They cannot even tell me they were born in the United States. That's how bad. And you know what's crazy? I recorded it, though, because my wife didn't believe me. And I said, I'm going to record it. And she couldn't believe it. I would ask them, in what country were you born? They would tell me Virginia, Georgia, and Alexandria County, like stuff like that. I'm like, man, what? And I had to just repeat the question multiple times, up to 10 to 15 minutes.
Bribed to do it. This happens on both sides of the aisle. Like, how many times have you seen canvassing campaigns who go out there and they're canvassing, they knock on doors, that people don't even know what the hell they're talking about?
So what, you think we should do an IQ test for everyone to have the
That's
right
been
to vote?
suggested.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's
but
good.
I have a better plan than an IQ test. I would not disenfranchise a person from being able to vote because they have like an average IQ.
Yeah.
What I would do is disenfranchise a person to vote if they were low information.
Mm-hmm.
One way I could find out if they were really politically motivated is
Yep.
if they sacrificed years of their lives to the state in order to get that right to vote.
So you want to punish people for being stupid?
No, I just don't want them to nullify well-informed votes from people who are smart and on the issues and understand the issues.
But taking away someone's vote would be punishing them in a sense.
It's not punishing them.
Yeah,
It's actually stopping them from punishing themselves and the rest of society because they're easily exploited by social elites.
That's fair. I mean, but why not then just target education? Like, why not then?
We
try to
spend
work.
5% of the entire GDP of the United States on education. It's the highest anywhere in the world, and we have some of the dumbest people on planet Earth. Our literacy rate is barely. You know what the literacy rate is.
Yeah, it's garbage.
It's trash. And we spend 5%, the biggest GDP on planet Earth. We spend 5% total of our GDP on education. And you think that education's going to solve the problem of the low information
voter?
voter?
Well, if the issue is that people are stupid, help them be smarter.
There's
Yeah,
a
but
lot
that's
of
not how
that
it works.
is a mixture.
Yeah, but